Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Southwest.
Texas Rangers baseball is presented by AT&T Viewers TV. It is a cloudy, breezy afternoon here at Globe Life Park. Rangers will try to break out of their fog and win the final game of this three-game series. This afternoon, the Rangers hosting the Cleveland Indians. And welcome in, everyone, along with Tom Graves, Steve Busby. Delighted you could join us on this Sunday afternoon of Rangers baseball. Rangers trying to snap the losing streak they have against the Indians, which now has reached 8 consecutive ball games. A good pitching matchup this afternoon. Nick Martinez and Carlos Carrasco.
Yeah, it is a good matchup, and if you go back to last year, Buzz, the last 2 months of the season, Carlos Carrasco was one of the most dominating pitchers in the American League. This year, he's not off to quite the same start, although he's got more than a strikeout per inning. He's been better on the road in his 4 road starts. That speaks well for today's game for him. He's 3-1. Nick Martinez has been good in his 3 home starts. It's been an outstanding start to the 2015 season for Nick. Gave up a few runs in his last start, which for him was a bad start. Looking to get back on track, hit that fastball in, and jam a few hitters today.
Well, both of them trying to establish themselves as quality Major League starters. Here this afternoon, we look for a very good pitching matchup against these 2 ball clubs. So the Rangers trying to get back on the winning side of things. They have lost 2 in a row in this series to the Indians at Prince Fielder. And Leonis Martin will lead the Rangers against the Tribe. All that's coming up next on Fox Sports Southwest. Brought to you by your Texas Ford dealer. The EcoBoost Challenge is on at your Texas Ford dealer. Get to your best in Texas Ford dealer today. By AT&T Uverse TV. Uverse has more live TV channels on the go than cable. And by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. The overcast afternoon here at Globe Life Park. The kids out there, tradition on Sundays around these parts. And before we get things underway, let's head down to the field and check in with Emily Jones.
Yeah, thanks, Buzz. Always a fun time on Sundays to see the kids take the field. Taking the mound today for the Rangers will be Nick Martinez, looking to continue his hot start to 2015. He learned a lot, he says, in his rookie campaign last season, and it's something he's taken note of, quite literally.
Well, keep a little notebook in my locker. Kind of just write down some notes, some thoughts that I have about the season or my previous outings, or just a reminder, just different reminders. Just do what I can do and just stick to my game plan, identifying who I am as a pitcher. Sometimes you got to write that down just to remind yourself, and, just tell yourself keep attacking and, pitch your game.
A very cerebral guy, that Nick Martinez. I also asked him how much of this game for him is mental. He said at least 90%. I mean, the other half is physical, right, guys?
That's right, Em. That's a baseball axiom. If Yogi Berra said it, it has to be right. Well, Rangers trying to snap out of a mini three-game losing streak, I should say. Shin-Soo Choo and company looking to get back on the right side of the ledger. Rangers coming in at 15-22. They're now 9 games behind the Houston Astros. And for all you kids at home, don't try what Delino DeShields just did at home. He's a trained professional. He's also very strong. Now the Rangers 5-13 at home after their worst home start in franchise history. The 5 home wins, the fewest they've ever had in 18 home games. And out to the field go your Rangers. So Tom Grave now will tell you all about the Amica starting lineup for the Cleveland Indians.
Jason Kipnis will again lead off at second base. He has been very hot. His batting average is up to .340. David Murphy gets the start at designated hitter and hits in the second hole. Michael Brantley is the left fielder, followed by the third baseman Lonnie Chisenhall. Brandon Moss is in the 5th spot in right field. Nick Swisher will play first base today and bat 6th. Michael Bourne is in center field. Roberto Perez is the catcher, and batting 9th is the shortstop, Jose Ramirez.
And that lineup will be facing the 24-year-old right-hander Nick Martinez. And our progressive scouting report on Nick looks like this. The numbers we have talked about. Nick, as you heard in his comments, wanted to get back to being aggressive early in the count. He felt the last couple of times out he'd let that slip. Now, not the entire time, but when he had gotten behind guys, that's when he ran into problems. Commanding the strike zone is still imperative for the right-hander, and that's nothing new for starting pitchers, but for Nick, really important, especially since he's had a lot of success getting inside on both right-handers and left-handers. Establishing both sides of the plate is what he is all about. Nick will try for his 3rd win of the year. He has 5 consecutive no decisions under his belt. Ranger defense this afternoon delivered to you by Chicken Express. Outfield has DeShields, Martin, and Choo, left, center, and right. Mitch Moreland the start at first. Adam Rosales is at second base here this afternoon. Elvis Andrus and Adrian Beltre on the left side of the diamond. Robinson Chirinos again behind the plate, and Nick Martinez out there this afternoon. The Rangers take it on the try. We mentioned Cleveland really dominating lately against the Rangers. Rangers have lost 8 straight ball games to the Clevelanders, and they've gone just 2-13 dating back to the start of the 2013 season. Jason Kipnis leading things off, takes ball 1. Underway, kind of a warm, muggy, breezy afternoon here in Arlington. And a strike on the outside corner evens things up. David Rackley, by the way, calling the balls and strikes. 76 degrees here today, and the humidity feels like it's just about the same. Little roller down the first baseline and just in fair territory. Mitch grabs it, wins that race for the bag, and Kipnis retired First time the Rangers have gotten him to lead a ball game off in this series.
Well, it'd be nice to set the tone for this game with a nice quick 1-2-3 first inning. Rangers have had tough luck in the top of the first in the first 2 ball games. It'd be nice to have 10 pitches, 3 outs, and go to hitting in the first inning. Not have to worry about being behind already.
Now here's David Murphy, moved up from the cleanup spot last night to the number 2 spot here today. David, a couple of hits last night, 2 for 4, drove in a run, scored twice. And that come from behind 10-8 Cleveland victory. And Murphy lines one into center field, a base hit. So David, who really hit well against the Rangers last year, continuing to do the same thing here in 2015. He is now 3 for 5 after that leadoff single here today.
Yeah, pretty good pitch down and away. David hit it right off the end of the bat, softly into center field.
The 1 on, 1 out. Here is Michael Brantley. Brantley 4 for 6 in the first 2 games of the series. 3 doubles, 3 walks, 3 RBI, and 3 runs scored. One ball, no strikes. And if you happen to be into numerology, I'm sure there's something there about all the threes. Don't know what it would be. Brantley 348 for the year with 4 home runs, 21 RBI. The 1-0 pitch coming from Nick Martinez. 2-0. Michael Brantley walked in the only 2 appearances that he's had against Nick Martinez. Nick, just his second outing against Cleveland. Gave up a career-high 8 runs in the ballgame that he started against the Tribe last year. That was that 17-7 pasting that the Indians hung on the Rangers last June here at home. 2-0 pitch. 3 balls, no strikes. Well, Nick trying to hit that outside corner. Brantley eyeballing them. They're just outside. 3-0. Brantley hitting third, to be followed by the third baseman, Lonnie Chisenhall. Nick with a check of first. And fires a knee-high strike. Talk about the month for the Indians that Jason Kipnis has had. Michael Brantley isn't too shabby either in the month of May. He's hitting 358. That kind of pales in comparison. Kipnis hitting over 500 for the month, but Brantley right behind him. 5 doubles, 4 home runs. Kipnis a little bit better, but that's 2 pretty potent offensive forces at the top of your order. And ball 4 puts Brantley aboard. So first and second with 1 out, with Chisenhall coming to the plate. Torino's out to have a word with Nick Martinez, saying, okay, didn't really want to deal with him too aggressively, so now we need the double play ball from Chisenhall.
Yeah, Brantley struck out in last night's game. It's only the 6th time this year that he struck out. With that walk, he's now had 17 walks and 6 strikeouts.
Lonnie Chisenhall last night, 3 for 6. Takes a fastball to the inside corner. Chisenhall for the year now, a .235 average. 3 home runs, 16 driven in. Got Murphy out at second, Brantley at first, 1 away, just underway here in the top of inning number 1. That evens the count. Chisenhall in his career against the Rangers, 19 games. He has done a lot of damage. He was a big part of that 17-7 game we talked about. Pulls this one foul outside first. Hit safely in all 7 games that he faced the Rangers in last year. At .452, he drove in 15 runs in those 7 games. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Almost hit him. Ranger infield, a couple of steps around to the right for the left-handed hitting Chisenhall. The Elvis right there behind David Murphy, who gets his lead from second. Well, it just seems like this series that Ranger pitchers have had very few innings where there weren't a bunch of base runners on.
I know. I was hoping for a 10-pitch 1-2-3 inning in the first, just maybe to set the tone, but they've had to really work with most of the hitters just to get an out in any of the innings. A lot of base runners, a lot of key hits. And one thing early in the game anyway that we're seeing, Buzz, is when he was hot at the beginning of the year, Nick was able to, one right after the other, throw those pitches on the inside corner, a little bit off the plate. Hitters were swinging at him. They were getting jammed. Now they might be a little bit more aware of it, a little more patient. And there's kind of a fine line between being a little too far inside where a hitter won't swing or bring it back over the plate where it's a pretty good pitch to hit.
Yeah.
There's that fine area in there that you're trying to hit.
3-2 pitch is yanked foul. That's into the third deck on the first base side. Chisenhall geared up for, well, he could have hit something that was 105 miles an hour with that swing as soon as he triggered that. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 on, 1 out. And the Fox tracker showing you this will be the 8th pitch of the at-bat to Chisenhall. And another foul ball. So Nick extended to at least 9 pitches in this at bat. Chisenhall expanding the strike zone a bit, not wanting to take the risk of having that be a called third strike. Nick ready. Murphy and Brantley away from second and first. Got him swinging. Got that slider down and in a big strikeout of Lonnie Chisenhall for Nick Martinez.
That was the perfect pitch in that situation. He'd been able to foul off a couple of fastballs out of the strike zone, but 3-2, he's got to think another fastball is coming, and this time he dropped it right where he wanted to. Looks like a pretty good pitch to hit, and he drops it a little bit in, a little bit out of the strike zone. Chisenhall, fairly free swinger. He doesn't walk that much. And when you can make that pitch 3-2, you'll probably get him to swing at it.
Now Nick will deal with Brandon Moss, a .237 average. And there's that fastball in the inside corner for a called strike 1. Moss, 5 home runs, 23 driven in. Both those marks the best on the Indian Ball Club. Oh, 1 pitch on the way. Moss has had more at-bats against Nick Martinez than anybody else on their ball club. His time with Oakland faced Nick in a couple of ball games. You see Moss trying to heat things up. Last 4 games, a .375 average. A ball and a strike.
That's a well-located changeup. Keep it down there. Not much damage they're going to do to you. Might hit a ball off the end of the bat occasionally, but that's about it.
And the Fox tracker showing that the location of that very well-placed changeup by Nick. Crowd trying to offer some encouragement for the 1-2 pitch. And Chirinos going to say something to Nick Martinez. May not have really liked the location of that last pitch, but since it resulted in a foul ball, no damage done. Murphy getting his lead from second, trailed by Michael Brantley at first. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Nick trying to work around a single and a walk in this frame. Next pitch will be number 25 for the first inning. Got him swinging. The change up away, and Moss gone on strikes. 2 punch outs in the inning. Indians are held off the board. No runs, a hit, 2 left. After half inning, Indians nothing. Rangers coming up. This Rangers lineup brought to you by Southwest Airlines.
Well, the Rangers will again start off with Shin-Soo Choo in right field. Delino DeShields for the second night will be batting second. Prince Fielder, the DH, is third, followed by Adrian Beltre at third base. Mitch Moreland at first base bats fifth. Elvis Andrus is the shortstop, followed by Leonis Martin in center field. Batting eighth this afternoon will be Adam Rosales at second base, and batting ninth is the catcher, Robinson Chirinos.
Yeah, the Ranger lineup facing Carlos Carrasco, 28-year-old right-hander from Venezuela. And we'll take a look at the scouting report for you. Pretty good numbers this year. A heavy sinking fastball with good velocity. Very much a strikeout pitcher, averaging better than a strikeout per inning. Major hitters will try to make him get the ball up, which is no easy feat. He got an electric slider when he is on, so the combination of a sinker slider with great stuff is not easy to overcome. Chu chops that foul, and the count goes to a ball and 2 strikes. Shin-Soo, a .248 average. It's the highest it's been since the first week of the season. 6 home runs, 17 RBI. He is the team leader with the 6-round trippers. 2-2. .333 on base percentage, and it was 16 games ago that Shin-Soo Choo was down at 0.96 with his batting average. Check swing. Did he go? Yes, he did. The appeal down to third, and Gabe Morales rang up that right fist. And Carrasco has the strikeout.
Well, let's take a look. We'll have a pretty good view of it. Yeah, that's kind of in that no man's land. Occasionally you get lucky, and that's called a check swing. That one was called a swing, and pretty tough to argue with it when you see that angle. Third base umpire is Gabe Morales.
So one down, and Delino to Shields will face Carrasco. Delino at 286 as he takes strike one. Second consecutive game that DeShields has been in there in the number 2 spot. Jeff Anderson saying, let's see if he can continue to get on base for us, and we'll move him up there to see if that follows him from the number 9 spot where Delino had been hitting most of the time. And Jeff felt with the on-base percentage hovering above 400 that hey, we could use a guy like that hitting second. Set the table for the big guys. 0-2 count. Delino able to check his swing. Rob Drake making the call on that appeal.
We were talking about how well Carlos Carrasco pitched the last couple of months of the year. After August 10th last year, he had 10 starts. He was 5-3 with a 1.30 ERA in those 10 starts. So he's dominating the last third of the season.
And back-to-back strikeouts begin things for him here this afternoon. Take a look at the Indian defense that backs up Carlos Carrasco this afternoon. Outfield of Murphy, Bourne, and Swisher. Left, center, and right. And Moss at first, Kipnis and Ramirez up the middle. Chisenhall at third. And Perez is catching. This fielder a chopper down to first. An easy play. And it's a very quick and tidy 1-2-3 inning for Carlos Carrasco and the Indians. We played one at Globe Life Park. We are scoreless. A scoreless ball game. A nice Sunday afternoon crowd out here watching Nick Martinez and the Rangers take on the Cleveland Indians. Nick had to skate around a little bit of difficulty in the first, but stranded a couple. Now he'll go to work with Nick Swisher at the plate, starting off the second inning. And Swisher immediately pops the first pitch out of play for strike one. Swisher, a 257 average, no home runs, 3 RBI. Got his first 3 RBI of the season on Friday. Swisher missed the first month rehabbing his knee after surgery that he had last year. 1 ball and 1 strike. Now 1-2. I mentioned Nick Martinez against the Cleveland Indians. Not a big track record with a lot of these hitters. Nick Swisher wishing right about now he hadn't swung at that pitch. That's the reaction that a pitcher loves to see from a hitter. A grimace of pain and kind of hobbling around. Not that they're sadistic or anything, but yeah, maybe a little bit.
Hitter likes to see the look on the pitcher's face when he throws the ball, hears the sound of the bat, and then as the ball's going over the park, he still has his head looking down at the mound. Yeah. That's the look the hitter likes.
Yeah.
Pitcher doesn't even turn to see where it went. He already knows.
That's right. That's right. You get a real good idea of that ball coming, the angle the ball comes off the bat, and that sound. Terrible sound. Pitch just outside the Swisher, and the count now is full. Swisher hitting 6th in the order, trying to get aboard to start off the second. Michael Bourne, the center fielder, waits to be next. Nick to the wind, the payoff pitch. Didn't really want to do it.
I'd say he fooled him with that pitch.
Yeah. That is strikeout number 3 for Nick Martinez. Now, before Michael Bourne steps in, let's welcome in Jim Knox.
I appreciate it, Buzz. Nice crowd on hand at Globe Life Park this evening. And yesterday at Globe Life Park, a national play competition took place. This is Major League Baseball. Athletic trainers took part in teaching kids how to stay fit. Derek Holland, Elvis, just a couple of the Rangers on hand. And Derek likes this event.
They're going to be doing a conditioning program. They're also going to learn the proper stretching. They're going to do the fundamentals of hitting, also doing the nutrition and the weightlifting as well. So that way we can continue to help them perform better and find the right ways of doing things as well in the weight room, on the field, in the cages, and also off the field.
There you go, Derek Holland having a good time yesterday here at Globe Life Park teaching the kids about fitness. Buzz?
All right, Nazi, thank you. Michael Bourne pops one into the alley in right center and hangs on as Leonys Martin gets to it quickly. But Bourne, with the second hit of the afternoon for the Indians, is at first with 1 out.
Now, early in the game, the best pitches for Nick have been his off-speed pitches, his breaking ball and his changeup. Struck out Chisenhall with a breaking ball. Moss and Swisher with what looked like changeups. This is a fastball that Bourne gets a pretty good piece of. A little bit near the middle of the plate. Result was a line drive.
The 1 on, 1 out. Roberto Perez, the catcher, will step in. Perez, just a 154 average. And he does have 3 home runs. And Martinez will go to work on Michael Bourne at first base. Perez getting the start behind the plate for the second consecutive ball game. There goes Bourne, and the pitch is fouled away. Well, Michael Bourne, one of the premier base stealers. If you go back over the last several years, the premier base stealer in all of baseball. Bourne, since 2008, leads everyone else in the major leagues with 292 stolen bases. Rajai Davis, and the Blue Jays, next with 289. Oh, and 1 the count. Now a ball and a strike. Perez had a good spring for the Tribe. You see his last 10 ball games, however, not so good. 16 strikeouts in those 10 games and an 0.40 average. Indians normal catcher Yan Gomes on the disabled list. He is on a rehab assignment now, and they expect him back within the next 2 weeks. Terry Francona going with Roberto Perez as his main catcher. Brett Hayes will back him up. And the breaking ball hangs high. It's 2-1.
Nick has been able to make some good pitches in this game, but he hasn't really had the command that he would like to have. He's thrown almost as many balls as strikes. He's made some good pitches with his off-speed pitches to get out of the first inning. Still having a little bit of a problem locating his fastball like he wants to.
Check in over there at first. This is a pretty good hit and run count. Terry Francona looked like he had put the hit and run on the first pitch. And 2-1, a favored count to also get some movement in the infield with putting that runner in motion. There he goes. The pitch is swung on a miss. The throw to second. They've got Bourne from here to watch the action.
Well, the burden's on the hitter to put the ball in play on a hit and run. Not sure that Bourne would have kept going if it was a straight steal. He might have taken a few steps and gone back because he really had no jump at all. That was pretty easy pickings right there for Robinson Chirinos. All he had to do was get it to second base in the air, and he was going to get an out right there.
No, 2-4 on the caught stealing. Base is empty now with 2 away and a 2-2 count on Roberto Perez. Full count now. Yeah, Perez is able to extend this second inning. Jose Ramirez, the shortstop, loosening up in the on-deck circle. Nick with a payoff pitch. He'll have to reload and try it again. Indians at 14-21 coming into play here this afternoon. They have won 2 in a row for just the second time this year. Terry Francona's club 8-9 away from Cleveland. And a check swing. Did he go? He did not. He appealed down to first, and Rob Drake with the palms down safe sign. Roberto Perez draws a 2-out walk. Second walk of the game issued by Nick Martinez, and Jose Ramirez will come up. Jose Ramirez, a switch hitting shortstop, batting 175 overall. He has 1 home run and has driven in 4. Big curveball, and that loops in for strike 1. Ramirez 1 out of 7 in this series. That ball is hit well to right field. Chu is going back. He has room in front of the warning track, onto the warning track, and makes the catch. Well, the fly out, that ends things in the second. No runs, a hit, 1 left after 1.5. Rangers nothing, Indians nothing. Sports Southwest is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealer. The EcoBoost Challenge is on at your Texas Ford dealer. Get to your best in Texas Ford dealer today. Now, middle third of the Ranger order to face Carlos Carrasco. Here in the second inning, Adrian Beltre takes ball one. We talked about Shin-Soo Choo raising his average. Adrian Beltre has done some heavy lifting of his own. 257. Now for the Ranger third baseman. He has 5 home runs, has driven in 14, and almost all that damage done of late. And this is some damage to his left foot.
Well, I would think Carrasco would get a lot of those because his ball really sinks. If he throws it down and in to right-hand hitters, he's probably going to see that quite a bit during a ball game.
The 1-1 pitch. He tried to give Adrian an opportunity to do it again. Got it a little too far inside. Beltre, like his left side of the infield partner over there, Elvis Andrus, loves hitting against the Cleveland Indians, and he continues that with a leadoff single here in the second inning. Now, Beltre, prior to that at bat, was hitting .383 against Cleveland since the start of 2012, and he'll up that just a bit.
The ball had a little bit of sinking action. Sinking down somewhere around the knees, down and in. No problem for Adrian, though. That's actually a pitch right down the middle to him based on some of the pitches he hits.
Yeah.
He can hit about a pitch about 6 inches lower than that without a problem as well.
Now, 1 on, nobody out. Mitch Moreland, a .274 average, steps in. And there was a pitch for him to work with. That sinker didn't get down, and that's what we were talking about hitters trying to make Carrasco get the ball up. Our Kubota power stats. Carlos Carrasco, 10 and almost 3/4 strikeouts per 9 innings. That's 4th in the American League. How about the strikeout to walk ratio? Over 5. That ball is hammered to right field. Way back and goodbye. No, it is not. That hit the wall, and here comes Beltre down to score. I think we're going to get an appeal. It looked like it hit the back wall and then kicked back into play.
If it didn't do that, it hit right on top of the wall. Beltre had stopped at third base when Kipnis dropped the relay throw. He just kept right on coming home. They're waiting to see what the replay shows. Let's see, we'll find out. Right off the top of the wall.
Golly, that did hit the. My bad, I didn't see that.
That needed to go 1 more inch.
Yep, sure did. Well, Mitch, just that little tiny bit.
Boy, Mitch had a ball off the wall the other day. That ended up being a single. Now he hits one off the top. They're going to challenge it. Maybe we didn't see it right.
I'm not sure what angle they could have looked at that we haven't had that would have showed something different. But anyway, the challenge has been issued.
Maybe the umpires are just going to check it on their own without a challenge.
Now the manager can ask them if they would do that. The crew chief, it is a crew chief review just to make sure that they are right, and yes, they are.
They just wanted to make sure. Good for them. I like that.
No, Rangers get 1 instead of 2, but still have a 1-0 lead. We'll have to see how that's going to be scored. Adrian had stopped at third, so there's going to have to be an error to allow Beltre to score.
It looked to me like Kipnis dropped it, but I couldn't really tell whether it was a good throw or a bad throw. Someone got an error.
In any event, Mitch will not get an RBI, but he does get the double. The Rangers have the lead at 1-0. And here's Elvis at 2:33 mark. Elvis takes ball one. We get a look at that throw in.
Oh, okay, ball bounced. That would be an error on the right fielder, I would say. Could tell Kipnis didn't catch it. Couldn't tell whether he had a chance to catch it. Kind of a short hop. Generally, that goes to the person that threw it.
Steve Weller, the official scorer, has ruled it an error, but we didn't get the word on who it was charged to. We'll assume it was on the throw until we hear differently. Elvis up there with a count of 2 balls and no strikes. Moreland at second, getting his lead. Now 2-1. Elvis, as I'm sure Ranger fans are well aware, loves hitting against the Cleveland Indians. 39 straight to start his career against the Tribe. He had base hits in all of them. 45 of 46 is his current hitting against them. Tried to bunt his way aboard and bunted it foul, or at least bunt to get Moreland over and maybe beat it out. But Elvis in his career, the highest average against any of his opponents, the 360 mark. He's driven in better than a run every other game. Got a chance with Mitch out there at second. To center field, Bourne was playing fairly shallow. Oh, it's an easy play for the speedster. That is out number 1, and it will bring up Leonis Martin. Elvis checking out the big board above the right field home run porch. See where that pitch was. You see a lot of guys, a lot of hitters and pitchers from time to time will check that board out to see exactly where the pitch was that they either hit or they threw, and somebody else hit. Leonis Martin, the average at 202. Back in the lineup last night after a 4-game absence. Fouls that pitch off. Matter of fact, Leonis has only played in 5 of the last 12 ball games due to that left wrist sprain that he suffered down in Houston. Trying to pick up Moreland from second. Leonis in his last 11 ball games has gone just 6 for 42. That's a 143 mark. To left field, David Murphy toward the line and toward the corner makes the catch. Moreland tags at second, bluffs a move to third, but Murphy gets it back in. And Moreland stays at second. He's there with 2 outs now, and Adam Rosales will be the next Ranger hitter. Rosales getting the start here this afternoon after Tommy Field had started the last 6 ball games at second base since his call up from AAA. Rosales, good career numbers against Cleveland. He's a 372 lifetime hitter. 1 ball, no strikes. And that number for Adam encompasses 18 career games. Carrasco, a high set, a check of second. 1 ball and 1 strike. Rosales with hits in 3 of his last 4 ball games. In at the knees. And Carrasco now with a 1-2 advantage in the count. Here are the numbers we were talking about. Adam Rosales against the Tribe, a home run and 5 RBI in those 18 ball games. Next pitch to him. That evens things up at 2-2. Well, the Rangers as a team having a very good month of May offensively. They have hit .271 in the first 16 games this month. And batting average on the rise, still at the 12th best in the American League, but at .237, that's as high as it's been. 2-2 pitch. No swing. 3-2. So Rosales trying to get aboard to join Mitch Moreland. Robinson Chirinos, the Ranger catcher, is in the on-deck circle. Carrasco okays the sign. Got him swinging. Well, Carrasco gives up a run on 2 hits. There was an error and 1 man left. We'll go to the third. It's the Rangers 1 and the Indians nothing. With MLB.com At Bat. It's the #1 app for live baseball. At Bat is up to the moment at any moment with in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcasts, StatCast, and more. Get MLB.com At Bat for your smartphone or tablet. Well, the Rangers put a run on the board in the bottom of the second. Now Nick Martinez with the lead back out there to work the third. Top of the Indian order, Jason Kipnis, who grounded out to first in the first, will lead off. Kipnis, a .338 hitter, and he gets plunked. Nick Martinez trying to work that pitch inside and hit him right in the upper thigh, it looked like.
Left fielder David Murphy.
So 1 on, nobody out. Now David Murphy, who singled to center his first time, steps in. Big curveball and down and in for ball 1. Here's our phantom cam. We don't get an opportunity very often to see that kind of contact or that kind of a bird flying around there. 1-0 to Murphy. David hitting .314 as he stands in. Kipnis a modest lead at first. And Martinez misses away. It's 2 balls, no strikes. David this year almost exclusively used against right-handed pitching. He's only had 1 at-bat against left-handers. And he takes ball 3.
Yeah, it's been a chore, the command so far in this game for Nick. He's thrown 47 pitches already, 24 strikes and 23 balls. Just hasn't had the command of his fastball yet. Still trying to find that. It's pretty good luck, pretty good success with his off-speed pitches, but not his fastball yet. Generally, that's what he's trying to do, is not like any pitcher. Command his fastball and then work off of that.
In the last 6 games, Murphy has been a very hot hitter at .529. Hit safely in those 6 straight. 3 balls, no strikes. And ball 4. Well, the first 2 aboard here in the 3rd inning. And Michael Brantley coming to the plate. Yeah, Mike Maddox is going to head out to the mound and make sure that the focus is where it needs to be, and that's on making quality pitches to Brantley. You know, you talk about going over hitters, going over teams before the ball game, and one thing you want to do when you have a guy like Brantley hitting third, you identify a guy you don't want to put in a position to beat you. And I think Brantley would be the one guy in the middle of the order for the Indians that's in that category. But what you have to make sure, he's going to get his hits, but you want to make sure you try and keep the guys ahead of him off base in a close ball game. And that's what Nick Martinez has not been able to do in this 3rd inning. Hit Jason Kipnis and walked David Murphy. And now you put Brantley in a spot where you don't really have any way of pitching around him or being careful with him. You're playing right into his hands. Kipnis at second. David Murphy trailing him at first. Brantley drew a walk in the 1st. And Nick Martinez pumping in strike 1. Brantley handling the DH chores here this afternoon. .348 average with 4 home runs and 21 RBI. Breaking ball, and he checked his swing. According to Gabe Morales, 1 ball and 1 strike. Two Indians aboard, Rangers leading 1-0, and Nick Martinez trying to keep it right there. A ball and 2 strikes now. Ranger outfield shading Brantley slightly the opposite way. Infield at double play depth and a couple of steps to the right. That was inside, almost hit him.
Yeah, that was way inside. I don't know how it did miss him. Just barely missed him.
2-2 now the count. And a breaking ball in the dirt. Runs the count full. And Nick trying to make quality pitches to Brantley, and Brantley refusing to expand his strike zone. Has run the count full. 2 on, nobody out. Brantley hitting third. Lonnie Chisenhall to follow. Chirinos flashing the signs out. Now the payoff pitch coming from Nick Martinez. This is where a pitcher's tempo changes noticeably when he's in trouble, and kind of gives you a clue the guy on the mound is thinking about what's going on and trying to figure out a way to get out of it, and doesn't really want to step up his tempo, get back into that give me the ball and I'm going to throw it mode.
Well, Nick had mentioned he wanted to be more aggressive today, and you know that works if you're throwing strikes, but you can be aggressive if you're not throwing strikes. Then
got him swinging.
That's a rarity right there. Most of the strikeouts, let's see, 3 of them have come on off-speed pitches. In fact, all of them have come on off-speed pitches, all 4 of them. And if you strike out Brantley for a changeup, you strike out Brantley, you've done something pretty good. That's only his 7th strikeout all year, but it's a very well-located changeup. Chisenhall's was a breaking ball, but Moss and Swisher were both changeups.
Well, one very big out. Now Lonnie Chisenhall, who, as Tom told you, struck out his first time up there. Chisenhall now a .233 average. The throw back to second base. There is nobody covering. That's going to allow Kipnis and Murphy to advance 90 feet. Nick Martinez had to have thought there was a time to play on. He looked very quickly back at second base. Nobody was breaking in, so it had to be a called timing play at second. And Nick just wheels back. Now watch, he'll take one look back there very quickly. Thought that the play was on and nobody was covering.
If there was an invisible man covering, they might have had him. But there was no one even thinking about covering second base on that one.
Now, that is a missed sign on somebody's part. So now second and third for Chisenhall. And he swings over that curveball for strike one. Chisenhall, so far this year, less than 2 outs, a runner at third. He has scored them 70% of the time. Major league average just a bit over 50%. 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, both clubs now have committed an error this afternoon. Nick from a stretch. And it's popped up. That will not get it done. Yep. Out number 2 is Elvis Andrews takes care of Chisenhall's pop-up.
That's probably been Nick's best pitch today. In fact, it has been his changeup. Got several strikeouts with it and just got the pop-up with it.
To ask Brandon Moss coming up, let's check in again with Jim Knox.
All right, Buzz, real quick. Girl Scout Day here at Globe Life Park. Something like 500 Girl Scouts on hand. You guys having a good time, right? Huh? There we go. Jennifer, what you guys do before the game?
Beforehand, we met here about 12:30, and we took a parade around the field.
There we go. All right.
On our Rangers.
There we go. Good to have you out here in this nice glove. Let me see that glove right here. Purple and pink. That would look good, Buzz. What do you think on Adrian Beltre at third base, huh?
Yeah, no doubt about that, Knoxie.
She wasn't giving that glove up either.
No.
Knoxie wanted to see the glove. He got to look at it, but he wasn't going to get it away from her.
Brandon Moss, a strikeout. First time that he faced Nick Martinez. Nick has come up with a couple of big outs. A strikeout of Brantley, and then the pop out by Chisenhall. 0-1 pitch. 0-2.
There's one on the inside corner.
Moss a .235 average.
A pitch out of the error of second and third and 1 out. Get some nice pitching.
Nick, a long look in. Now he's ready. One ball and 2 strikes. Saw Robinson Chirinos prior to that last pitch putting the target up. Wanted it high. That's just in case David Murphy at second base is relaying location to Brandon Moss. He came back with a breaking ball. Well, if David was relaying where the target was set, he would be wrong. To left field, DeShields retreating. And right as he steps out of the warning track, hauls it in. That will do it. No runs, no hits. 2 are left. There was an error, a walk, and a hit batter. After 2.5, Rangers 1, Indians nothing. That's presented by Majestic, and fans who wear a Rangers jersey to the game that night will get to participate in a pregame parade and will receive a voucher for a free ticket to select games in August and September. Plus, Texas Rangers retail locations are offering 15% off of all Rangers jerseys now until the 29th. Get tickets for May 29th at TexasRangers.com. Robinson Chirinos leading off the Ranger third inning. Texas on top 1-0. Carlos Carrasco pumps in strike one. Robinson, a big night last night. Tied his career high with 3 hits. Average up close to the 200 mark. 3 home runs and 13 driven in. Carrasco back to the plate. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Robinson, with that 3-hit night last night, came on the heels of an 0 for 10 that he had been mired in.
Yeah, it looked like he might have had the game winner in the bottom of the 8th, the home run that he hit. Didn't turn out to be that way. Tough loss last night. Get the lead like that, battle back and forth all game long, and lose it right at the end.
I would imagine that would have been a little tougher loss to take than most.
Yep.
I think you have it pretty well in hand, and all of a sudden they rip the rug right out from under you. Carrasco ready for another 1-2 pitch. Got him swinging. Carrasco with his 4th strikeout of the afternoon. 1 out, and that sent it over to Rick Renner for a Mazda game break. Thank you, Rick. Well, Redmond showing the door with not much time in that Marlin team this year.
In fact, they fired Joe Girardi after he won. You get fired whether you win or lose down there.
Carrasco now with back-to-back strikeouts, one to end the third, one to end the second, and one to start the third. Ahead of the count to Shin-Soo Choo. No balls and 2 strikes. Choo struck out, leading off the ball game this afternoon. 1-2. Choo having a great homestand, a .464 average coming in today. He has just gone completely crazy since coming back from that 096 precipice that he faced. All of it's been done here in the month of May. He leads the major leagues with 14 extra base hits and 8 doubles this month. And he takes that pitch low, so he's gone from 0-2 to 3-2. Choo trying to get aboard with 1 out. Delino to Shields will follow in the order. Carrasco, a long look in. Now the big right-hander is ready. Outside, ball 4. First pass issued by Carrasco. Something that we mentioned, the strikeout to walk ratio very, very high for him. They don't get a lot of walks. See if the Rangers can take advantage of the first one he's issued. Delino, also a strikeout victim back in the first inning. Showing bunt, and he takes ball 1. This is an area where, boy, Delino's speed really becomes a valuable weapon when you put him in a situation where a bunt might work for you. That one's down the third base side. Chisenhall unloads in a hurry, and they just do get Delino to Shields.
That shows you how close a fast guy can make a bunt. Make it look on a bunt when he really doesn't have much of it. Doesn't look like he has much of a chance. You've got Chisenhall expecting the bunt. He's playing in at third base. He anticipates the bunt. He charges it and gets rid of it, and just barely gets Delino at first base. He bunted maybe a little bit hard. If he deadens it a little bit, maybe Chisenhall can't get it. But you can see Chisenhall's 5 or 6 feet in at third base. He's looking for the bunt and barely got him.
So no sacrifice, considering there was 1 out. Steve Weller, the official scorer, recognizing that was an attempt to get a base hit. But Choo at second, and Prince Fielder pops up the first pitch. Foul territory, and that is going to be on top of the Indians' dugout. Delino to Shields has the kind of speed where if you blink, you miss him.
Well, we timed his bunt the other night at 3.54 seconds. Which is right up there with the top times you'll see from a right-hand hitter.
Fielder rounded out to first, back in the first. Down on the count here, 0-1. That evens things up. Prince 5th in the American League coming into play with that .340 average. He's had a very good homestand with .375 coming into play this afternoon. Lines one to center field. Bourne started back, now coming on. It's going to fall for a base hit. And Choo was kind of taking it easy around third, realized it was falling, and he turned on the Jets to come in to score.
Yeah, it's one of those balls where a big guy takes a fairly big swing and hits it off the end of the bat. Your first reaction as a center fielder is to see that Fielder took that swing, and he's probably going to hit it a long way, and you break back on the ball. And watch, he's going to go back about 2 steps, and then it's too late. He can't recover. The ball fouls in front of him for what should have been an out, turns into an RBI single. Oh, nice little break right there for the Rangers. We'll take it.
Well, the Rangers on top 2-0. Now here's Adrian Beltre, and he takes a strike on the outside corner. Beltre singled to left field in the first inning, or second inning, his first time up, and came around to score on an error. Nothing in 2 now. Adrian, with that base hit, has his average up over 260 as he bats here in the third inning. 10 for 26 on the homestand. Got him swinging. Carrasco with his 5th strikeout. Rangers do put a run on the board, however. A run on a hit, they leave one after 3. Rangers 2, Indians nothing. Joining us now, the guy we need up here for the doctor of defense, Mark McLemore. I've got a written lead to work with now, and just make sure you make all the plays, make all the routine plays.
That's it.
Nothing spectacular.
Nothing spectacular. Make the routine plays and add on some more.
There you go.
You never have too many.
And if you're Nick Martinez, try and get ahead of a few guys and see if you can calm down his command issues that he's had with his fastball early.
You know, his last couple of outings, and including this one, you know, he's had to battle a little bit.
Right.
You know, you'd like to see that. Well, you don't like to see it. You like to see him go out there and mow everybody down, but you're not going to have your best stuff every time you go out there. So you got to learn how to pitch with what you have that particular day. Colby Lewis did it yesterday.
Yep.
You know, this is his third start where he's had to do it. He's had to fight it. It's not going to be easy by any means, but, you know, I like what I'm seeing out of him. He's battling. He's not, you know, just letting the wheels fall off of it.
Yeah, and Tom's pointed out the changeup has been a great weapon for him today. That ball's hit well to right center field. Leonis Martin on his horse, able to track it down in the alley and take extra bases away from Mitch Richardson.
Swisher hit that ball hard. I thought it would jump right over Leonis' head, but he got a good jump and just outran it out there. See him do that a lot.
Love to see that. That's just flat out speed going after that ball. It's got to make a pitcher feel good knowing that he's got some guys out there that can cover some territory.
Oh, yeah.
You look at Leonis out there in center, and you've got DeShields out there in left. Guys have to hit it if it's going to fall in.
Yeah.
Well, he was playing way over in left center field. Had to go all the way over there to get it.
Well, Michael Bourne up there now, and he takes ball 1. Yeah, well, you're talking about Nick Martinez, so that changeup has become a very good weapon for him today. And sometimes that's not the easiest thing for a young pitcher to do, go to an off-speed pitch as your primary pitch. You're not used to thinking about sequences with that being number one for him.
You know, to see him be able to do that, make that adjustment, and figure out, hey, this is what's working for me. This is what I've got to go with, and then have the confidence in it to throw it when he needs to.
Right. A little bit of pitching backwards, and you know, Nick, to his credit, he's been able to keep the Indians off the board. 3 2/3 under his belt. Roberto Perez drew a walk back in the second inning. Here's a base hit to center. Perez not waiting around. He saw a fastball that he could handle, and he has his first base hit of the afternoon.
Shortstop Jose Ramirez.
Third base hit given up by Nick Martinez. 1 on 2 out, and Jose Ramirez comes up. Ramirez flied out to the warning track right in front of the Ranger bullpen in right center field. Gave it a pretty good ride to end the second inning. Off speed on the first pitch for strike one. One and one the count. Nick's next pitch will be number 70 for the afternoon. His ball strike ratio not nearly what we have come to expect from him. That pitch inside. He's now had 38 strikes and 32 balls. Nick usually between 65 and 70% strikes. But like we were talking about, this is one of those days where you see if you can do it with smoke and mirrors or whatever else you have handy. Two and one. Peel down to third, no swing. 3 balls and a strike. Bourne, or I should say Ramirez, hitting 9th in the order. Jason Kipnis waits in the on-deck circle. Guy you'd rather have leading off the 5th inning. 3 and 2. No, Perez at first will be freed up to take off with the next pitch. David Rackley expanding his strike zone just a little bit.
Just a tad.
Moreland playing behind Perez over there at first. Martinez sets. Runner on the move, payoff pitch. We'll reset and try it again.
Almost a nice catch from there.
Almost got knocked right over that roll into the next row. There you go. Young man. Be talking about that for years to come. Martinez again with a 3-2. And again a foul ball.
Ramirez is saying if he's going to call that pitch a strike, I better swing at it.
Yeah.
That one looked like it was just as far outside.
That's a pretty popular area out there. Chirinos ran out of fingers, and you have to go out and talk to him about it. Okay, you've only got 4 different pitches. What do you want to throw? And Nick's reply was something that'll get us back in the dugout. Quick.
Now, who's making that decision there? Buzz, is it the catcher or the pitcher making that decision?
Pitcher's making the final decision on that kind of a deal, Mac. You know, I think it's got to be, especially with Nick, what he's trying to do today. It's all field. You know, I think if Nick wants to go with off-speed pitch, which he did that time to Bourne or to Ramirez, you've got to respect that as a catcher because you know he's struggling with the command of the fastball. And it's self-defeating if you ask a pitcher to throw something he's not comfortable with. Fly ball to right field. Chu has a play on that. Toward the corner. Hauls it in. That'll do it. No runs, a hit. 1 man left after 3.5. It's the Rangers 2, the Indians nothing. Fly Park happy. Our T-Mobile game changer this afternoon, Josh Hamilton, continuing his rehab assignment. Last night at AA Frisco, 4 for 5, an RBI, and 4 runs scored. Josh trying to work his way back into baseball playing shape, and Rangers will welcome him back whenever that time period is up. Mitch Moreland leading things off against Carlos Carrasco here in the 4th inning, and Mitch takes a strike. Moreland pounded one right off the corner, upper corner of the wall in right field. His last time out. The win is a double. Leans on that fastball, tailing away. 1 ball and 1 strike. Well, Mitch now with the average back up to 286. One and 2. Carrasco breaking out some pretty nasty pitches here in the last couple of innings.
Hey, you can see why he gets more than a strikeout per inning. He's got a lot of pitches that you can swing and miss at. Slider's probably his biggest one.
Moreland loops one to left field. David Murphy there. 1 gone. Next will be Elvis Andrus.
You know, he just keeps everything down in the zone, it looks like, and that's what makes it really difficult. You know, that, again, that movement, when it's down at the bottom of the zone and it's moving, sinking, or anything, makes it very difficult to hit.
Yeah, he's one of those right-handers, kind of like a left-hander that can't throw the ball straight. Elvis flied out to center field back in the 2nd inning. 231 the average for the Rangers shortstop. Nothing and 1. Carrasco getting set for his 55th pitch of the afternoon. Elvis gives it a pretty good ride. David Murphy back well in front of the warning track, and that is out number 2. Sounded better off the bat than it ended up. Kind of a muggy afternoon, not real hot. Temperature in the mid to upper 70s. Fans Tuesday, June 2nd, the first 15,000 fans at Globe Life Park will get a Rangers beach towel courtesy of Coca-Cola. Come on out and catch the first game of that 3-game series against the White Sox and pick up this summer giveaway. Call 972-RANGERS or visit TexasRangers.com for tickets. Leonis Martin 0 for 1. Flied out to left field in the second inning. In tight. 1 ball, no strikes. Leonis now 0 for his last 8 times to the plate in this series. Carrasco back to him, missed high, a 4-pitch walk. Puts Martin aboard with 2 outs for Adam Rosales. First time Leonis has had an opportunity to get on and use his speed on the base paths in this series, or in this homestand, I should say. RF camera roaming around Globe Life Park right here below the press box, looking out over the club level and onto the playing field. Rosales' a strikeout, his only trip to the plate today. Carrasco, a big guy at 6'4" and about 235 pounds. He's pretty quick feet. He'll do a pretty good job of keeping runners close. Strike 1. Adam checking with Tony Beasley down there to see what might be on for Leonis Martin at first. A little variation that time by Carrasco into a very quick move to home plate. 0-2 to Rosales.
As a base stealer, those are the guys that you don't like to see on the mound. Doesn't matter how big or how small they are. It's all about if they have quick feet. Quick feet are what get you, what do you in as a base stealer, because you can't afford to lean one way and still have time to get back. A guy with quick feet like that, you're picked off. So you've got to make sure that that whatever decision you make, you've got to stay with it, whether it's going back or trying to steal second.
One ball, 2 strikes. How easy was it to read a pitcher, a right-handed pitcher for you at first base?
The ones that gave me a little bit more trouble were the guys that had quick feet, because they could just spin. And, sometimes it would be a balk, but most umpires aren't going to call that, especially with a right-hander. So it makes it a little bit more difficult when they have quick feet and they're able to jump around like that.
Force play at second, and the Rangers out in the 4th. No runs, no hits. The Walker left stranded. After 4 complete, Rangers 2, Indians nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. area shifts and what they do to take away hits from a hitter. Well, we had a situation come up last night, Mac, in the 8th inning. David Murphy up there, a shift on for him, and he hit one kind of in between.
Yeah, he did. And what you have to do here, you have to communicate. Tommy Field, he's got to let Beltre know, hey, a ball to your left. Tommy's got to be able to let him know if he's going to be at second base or not. So Beltre, if he knew that he wasn't going to be there, he wouldn't have even thought about going to second base. He would have just been able to throw to first base. You see here, Beltre is looking for him to be there. Tommy probably, it was going to be a close call. Tommy probably would have made the play, but you've got to know beforehand so that, that little, indecisiveness doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
But you look over, you know that situation. There's a left-hander up. You look at your shortstop. You look at your third baseman and say, hey, I'm there or I'm not. Take it across to first base. So they know before the ball is even hit. So you see where they're positioned. You got Elvis up the middle a little bit. Beltre playing to his left, and Tommy's kind of not really knowing if he's going to go. If Beltre's coming to second base or not. But you already have that established with the left side of that infield if you're going to be there on a ball to him or not. So that play happens before the ball is even put in play.
Yeah, and that's one of the tough things I would think about not shifting all the time, not being all that familiar with it, is you don't realize how much ground there is for a second baseman or a shortstop or whatever to cover if you don't do it all the time.
Right, if you don't do it all the time, and then also just knowing where everybody else is, what their strengths and what their weaknesses are. Does he really know how much range Elvis has? If Elvis goes up the middle, can I get there? Because I know he's going to do a glove flip for me.
Right.
Same thing with Beltre. Can Beltre get to a ball to his left or his right? Am I going to be able to beat that runner at first base to second base? Because remember, that runner at first base isn't being held on.
Yeah.
So he's got a little bit of an extra lead. So that cuts it down. So there are a lot of things that go into deciding where you're going to be, the kind of communication you're going to have, and with who. For me, that's the game inside of the game that a lot of guys don't pick up on. It takes them a little bit of time to pick up on that.
Jason Kipnis draws a walk. So he has been hit by a pitch and walked. He's 0 for 1 officially. But he starts off the 5th inning by reaching base again. The 1 on, nobody out. And David Murphy, who has been aboard both times that he has come to the plate, steps in. Murphy a single in the first, a walk in the 3rd inning. Rangers would love to get that ground ball at an infielder. Change-up first pitch for strike 1.
Now, Nick came into the game with only 10 walks. He had 3 walks at a game one time. So far today, kind of speaks to the problem commanding his fastball today. He's had 4 walks in the ball game.
Yep.
He's battling through it. He's figuring out how to make pitches.
And Murphy pulls one in the hole. It's through to right field. Kipnis will stop at second. He had to hold up just a little bit, let that ball go by him, and Chu able to get to it quickly enough. But again, the Indians with runners at first and second, nobody out, and Michael Brantley coming up.
That's going to get a curveball up for David. David's swinging the bat well right now. He's up over 300 coming into the game. He's got 2 hits and a walk in the game. Back in the 3rd inning, there was 2 men on, nobody out for Brantley and Chisenhall. Nick got a huge strikeout of Brantley and pitched his way out of the inning. Tough to do it time and time again against the middle lineup, especially if Brantley's the first guy you have to face. He struck him out on a changeup in the 3rd inning. Good 3-2 pitch.
Yeah, this is not a situation you want to put yourself in a lot of times.
No. It's having to throw a strike right here to Brantley.
And Brantley 0 for 1, drew a walk the other time. And the first pitch changeup down and away for ball 1.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one he missed to strike out on in the 3rd inning. That one he didn't even think about swinging at.
Brantley second on the Indians team with 21 RBI. Hits this one well to right center field. That is up the alley, 1 hop and off the wall. Kipnis will score. Murphy being stopped at 3rd. Rangers get the ball back in quickly. But Michael Brantley, a rifle shot off the 407 side. for the RBI double. That cuts the Ranger lead in half. It is 2-1.
Well, Brantley took the off-speed pitch, looked for a fastball, I'm sure, and got a pretty good one to hit. That guy can hit, boy. Ball's on the outside corner, tailing away from him, and he ripped it into the gap in right center field. David Murphy's probably lucky he didn't go. Adam Rosales made a great throw on the relay throw home. One hop strike to the catcher. Brantley's really not a home run hitter. He can hit home runs, more of a line drive hitter, and he can plug the gap for doubles as well as anybody.
So, still nobody out. A run across, runners at second and third. Mike Maddox out for a quick visit with Nick Martinez and Robinson Chirinos. Brantley with his 22nd RBI of the year. And Lonnie Chisenhall coming up now. Chisenhall has struck out and popped out. And Chisenhall popped out in a very big situation in the third inning. Had runners at second and third. And one out at that time. And Nick Martinez got him to pop out to Elvis. And he's going to pop up again. This time to Robinson Chirinos.
That's a frustrating at bat right there. Just say to yourself, I wasn't quite ready.
Great pitch by Nick.
He got that in right where he wanted it.
Yeah, like you were saying a minute ago, he's making pitches when he has to make them. It's a great pitch, a great time. Runners at second and third, and one out.
Well, that's the pitch that we saw the first several starts, first 3 or 4 starts for Nick. He was able to throw the fastball in on the hitters one right after the other. Right there. Not much you can do with that pitch if you swing at it.
Well, one very big out. Rangers continue to play the infield back. Brandon Moss has struck out and fly to left field. He takes strike one. Moss with a team leading 23 RBI. He's now just one ahead of Brantley. Got Murphy at third, Brantley at second. Chirinos a nice job of keeping that ball around home plate. A ball and a strike. The strikeout came in the first inning, and the flyout came in the third. And it ended that inning with no damage done. One and two. Sam Freeman, Ranger left-hander, getting loose out in right center field. Nick about ready to throw his 92nd pitch of the afternoon. Got him swinging. Big strikeout for Nick Martinez. Brandon Moss going up the ladder and got off a rung too early.
Nick struck him out with 2 men on in the first inning on a good changeup down and away. This time goes in a different direction with a high fastball right where Robinson called for it. And Moss, did he tick it? Might have ticked it. In any event, it's out of the strike zone, and big strikeout with men on second and third.
Well, that is the second out, and now Nick Swisher up there. Swisher is lined to center and struck out today. 0 for 2. Nick Martinez and the Rangers clinging to a 2-1 lead. 1 ball, no strikes. Swisher, in the early going of the year, especially for him, not a lot of at-bats. He's a 182 hitter against right-handed pitching. Takes that one a little bit low, 2-0. It's left-handers this year. Swisher has hit 385. Nick Martinez trying to limit the damage here in the 5th. And they're going to go ahead and put Nick Swisher on. Ball behind him, and instead of taking a chance on Swisher blooping one in someplace, they're going to go ahead and load the bases and work to Michael Bourne. Fourth wide one is issued. Swisher with the walk. And Bourne coming to the plate.
Center fielder Michael Bourne.
Looking at David Murphy, you may have noticed the 7 the Indians have on their sleeve, the 7 in the circle, and for the late Al Rosen. Of course, Al passing away, and the Indians paying tribute to one of the all-time greats. Well, bases loaded. Michael Bourne is 1 for 2. And he takes that breaking ball that comes in the back door. Bourne had a single in the second, last time up in the fourth, flied to left. One career grand slam for Bourne. Outside, 1 ball, 1 strike. Indians with a run across here in the 5th inning. And the base is full with Murphy down at third, Brantley at second, and Nick Swisher over at first. Two and 1. Nick's next pitch will be number 100 this afternoon, and it has been a struggle for the young man. But nobody ever said it was going to be a bed of roses every time out. The 2-1 pitch. Slowly hit down to first, right at the bag. It's foul. Moreland had that thing surrounded and he stepped on the bag, but Bourne coming back to the plate. He will now swing the bat with a 2-2 count.
You know, this little tapper may have looked easy, but believe me, there's a little bit going on in Nick's mind right now. I want to get to that ball before it gets to the bag so it doesn't hit the bag.
Yeah.
I've seen that happen many times, and that's just not a good feeling if you're a fielder.
No telling what's going to happen when that thing hits the bag. But generally, it's not good.
Exactly. Not good for the defense.
Yeah. 2-2. Check swing. Did he go? No, he did not. Well, the string has been run out the entire length. 3-2 with 2 outs. Bourne checking his swing, and now all 3 runners will wind it up, be off with the next pitch. Murphy, Brantley, and Swisher. Bourne at the plate. Nick Martinez comes set. Payoff pitch. Fouled off. Bourne just getting a little piece of it, and the crowd went crazy momentarily until they saw the ball skitter back to the backstop.
And it's kind of what's been going on for Nick today. When he has to make a pitch, bases loaded, 3-2, 1-run game, he goes to his changeup. Bourne just barely got a piece of that. That's pretty much been the pitch that he's thrown when he had to make a pitch today.
Bourne waiting, runners getting set to take off again. They're on the move, in the 3-2 is called strike 3. He got frozen like a pizza in the freezer.
Was it a Swanson?
No, it wasn't. It was a DiGiorno because there was no delivery. Bases are left loaded, and it's 2-1 Rangers going to the 6th. Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by the Mazda 6. J.D. Power has awarded the Mazda 6 highest ranked vehicle appeal among midsize cars. Well, a fancy bit of pitching by Nick Martinez to get out of that ticklish spot in the top of the 5th inning. Gave up a run, but did not surrender the tying run. 2-1 Rangers. Robinson Chirinos, Nick's battery mate, leading off against Carlos Carrasco. No balls and 2 strikes. Chirinos a strikeout, his first time up there. Carrasco has struck out 5 through the first 4 innings. He has walked a couple. One of those walks coming back to haunt him as Shin-Soo Choo scored the second Ranger run of the afternoon after walking in the 3rd. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Carrasco back to the plate, and Chirinos pops it up. Ramirez, the shortstop, everybody get away from him. It's antisocial, and he puts it away. 1 gone. Now back to the top of the Ranger order for Shin-Soo Choo. Choo 0 for 1. You mentioned that walk in the 3rd. Prince Fielder drove him home with a single into shallow center field. She was also struck out. So 0 for 1 officially. Choo, the former Cleveland Indian, takes a strike on the inside corner. Choo was a member of the Indians from 2006 to 2012. 7 years, he hit .292, really established himself as a quality major league outfielder. Shin-Soo, originally signed by the Seattle Mariners, came over in a trade the middle of 2006. Then Broussard went to Seattle. Down on the count here, no balls and 2 strikes. Got him swinging. And Carrasco being tough. That is out number 2, and before Delino DeShields comes up, let's check in with Emily Jones. Em?
Fellas, a couple of roster moves today affecting the starting rotation and also the bullpen. Ross Detweiler added to the 15-day disabled list with left shoulder inflammation. Also designated for assignment, Kyuji Fujikawa. He has been DFA'd, and taking those 2 spots, Tanner Scheppers and Ross Ohlendorf, both available today, guys.
And speaking of Ross Ohlendorf, he is loosening in that Ranger bullpen. Delino DeShields 0 for 2. And now down in the count, 0 and 2. Delino has struck out and thrown out, trying to butt his way aboard back in the 3rd inning. Out of play down the right side. Still no balls and 2 strikes. I know, a .275 average. Carrasco back to him. Now the 1-2 pitch. Right center field, Bourne over to his left, making the call and the catch. And the Rangers, for the first time since the 1st inning, down 1-2-3. Mac, thanks for joining us. We'll see you after the ball game on Rangers Live. 2-1 Rangers as we go to the 6th inning. 4-game set against the Boston Red Sox. And fans will also be treated to a post-game fireworks show set to the music that will kick off the start of summer. Head to TexasRangers.com/tickets and pick up your seats. Well, the Rangers don't waste any time when they get somebody up from AAA. He is right in there, and Ross Ohlendorf for the latest to fall into that category. The 32-year-old right-hander from Lockhart, Texas, is on now to take over for Nick Martinez.
Now, Ross was having a nice spring training early in camp and then had some issues, some leg issues, missed some time, had to start this season in AAA, but he looked like he was well on his way to making the staff in some role, if not as a starter, as a relief pitcher. So it took him a while to get here, but he's back in the big leagues. Pretty impressive in spring training. At times showed a mid-90s fastball. You'll definitely notice his windup when he comes into the game.
Sure will.
Got some flair to it.
And he zips that one in there at 94 miles an hour for strike one. Roberto Perez, the Indian catcher, leading things off against Ohlendorf. Hard slider is outside. 1 ball and 1 strike. Ohlendorf down at last work down at Round Rock on Thursday. Pitched an inning in relief. Oh, good breaking ball there. Ohlendorf most recently with the Washington Nationals back in 2013. Only pitched in 5 ball games last year. And a bad low back, a lumbar strain. 1-2 pitch. See you later.
That was a good overhand breaking ball. Swung at one, took the next one. First one was a ball that he swung at, but the next one caught the corner.
Yep. That's one of those 12-6 curveballs you hear tell about. Breaking straight down like it's on the clock from 12 right down to 6. So 1 out, and now Jose Ramirez. Ramirez twice today, this afternoon, has flied to right field. And Ohlendorf misses a little bit low. 2 balls, no strikes. Ross signed as a minor league free agent back on the 26th of January this year. Hits the inside corner with that pitch. I understand Emily Jones has a question.
Yeah, I'm wondering, guys, with the windup, is it advantageous to a hitter because you kind of know what's coming and the cadence at which it's coming, or is it so distracting that it's that it's the advantage to the pitcher?
I don't know. What do you think, John?
Well, what you have to do as a hitter is ignore everything that goes in to the point that leads up to letting go of the ball. You just let him go through his delivery, not paying much attention to it, and then when he gets right here, you start to concentrate on picking up the ball. We were talking about him in spring training, Buzz, how so many pitchers now have very little movement when they deliver the ball, I guess for a consistency of the delivery. But if you watch the delivery, I guess it could throw you off a little bit. The key is not to be distracted by what goes into it.
And Ramirez lofts a fly ball to Shin-Soo Choo, so he's given Shin-Soo some fly ball practice out there. 3rd one that Ramirez has hit out to Choo. 2 gone, back to the top of the order, and let's first of all send it over to Rick Renner for a Mazda game break. All right, Rick, thank you. Here the Rangers hanging on to a 2-1 lead. Ohlendorf facing Jason Kipnis. And that first pitch inside. Kipnis has been aboard twice today. 0 for 1 officially. He's been hit by a pitch and walked. Scored the only Indian run back in the 5th when he walked to start things off. That bluffed bunt had Adrian charging down the line from third. 2 balls, no strikes. Pretty good fastball up in the strike zone. It is 2-1. Take a look at our Ford leaderboard. Extra base hits this month. Shin-Soo Choo leading everyone with 14, but not far behind Jason Kipnis with a dozen. Now the 2-1. Shallow left field. Elvis going out. The liner to Shields coming on. Calls Elvis off. And it's a very quick and tidy 1-2-3 inning for Ross Oglendorf. Just off the bus from Round Rock, and he gets the job done in the 6th. 5.5 in the books. Rangers by 1. For our Sonic Slam inning, brought to you by Sonic. Today's jackpot is worth $1,500 and dinner for 2 at Sonic Drive-In. Today, the Rangers are hitting for Jesse Darden from Azle. And if a Ranger hits a grand slam this inning, Jesse Darden from Azle will win $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. Well, Jesse, sit down and buckle your seatbelt. You got the big guys up there, and Prince Fielder leading off fouls the pitch away. It's no balls and 2 strikes to Prince. With the Fielder and the man that follows him in the order, Adrian Beltre, with 5 home runs this year. And one behind team leader Shin-Soo Choo. Fielder 1 for 2, an RBI single. Loops one down the left field line that's falling in a hurry, and it's down for a base hit.
Prince has figured out how to get hits, boy. Hit him out of the ballpark, hit line drives, and also hit your bloopers. Let them fall in, too. He's got a couple of them today. He had the RBI blooper to center that Michael Bourne misjudged and played into a single. This is a pretty good fastball tailing out of the strike zone. It broke so much away from him. And he hit it right off the end of the bat and blooped it in front of David Murphy in left field.
So Fielder now with 2 hits today, his 17th multiple hit game of the year. Rangers are playing their 38th ball game. Here's Beltre. Carrasco doing that hard sinker down there at the knees for strike 1. Adrian had a single back in the 2nd inning and scored the first Ranger run of the day. One and 1 the count. Beltre 1 out of 5 in his career against Carlos Carrasco. 2-1 the count here. Carrasco through the first 5 innings plus 1 hitter. Everybody calling for the appeal.
I think Adrian called for that one himself.
3-1. Oh, Beltre. A very decidedly hitter's count. 3 balls, 1 strike. Carrasco walked a couple today. And he gets the inside corner. A little cutting action to come back to the inside. Full count to Beltre.
Yeah, I gotta say 3-1. If it's a strike, he'll be swinging at it. If he didn't swing at it, must not have been a strike.
He went upstairs, and Carrasco gets his 7th strikeout of the afternoon. Beltre retired. 1 out. Mitch Moreland coming up, and let's check in with Jim Knox. Jim.
All right, real quick, Buzz. Plenty of fun in the stands today. Graduation party going on here. A couple of former football players of Midwestern come in from Wichita Falls. Shadow, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, what are you, on a diet? Look at that. And look at Case down there polishing off the boomstick. And how about a late Mother's Day present for who?
Yeah, for Sherry.
Sherry, you guys come in from Austin enjoying the game then.
We are
Here we go. Here we go. Get out of here.
Moreland to deep center field. Back at the wall. Goodbye. And Jesse Darden, a $1,500 winner out in Asia in our Sonic Slam inning. Mitch Moreland with his 2nd home run of the year. The Rangers lead it 4-1.
Well, Mitch almost had a home run in the 2nd inning. He hit one right off the top of the wall. It needed to go about another inch to be a home run. And this one he launched over the 404 sign in left center field. Bourne tracked it all the way to the wall, but he ran out of room in it. Cleared the fence by about 5 or 10 feet. Mitch again showing that power that he's got straight away or to left center field.
Well, congratulations to Mitch. Congratulations to Jesse Darden from Asia. $1,500 from Sonic coming your way. And now Elvis Andrews pounds a base hit to left field.
That might be the hardest hit ball Elvis has hit since the ball he hit over the center fielder's head in Seattle way back in April.
That's Cleveland. What do you expect?
That's a good point. Pitch on the outside corner. Mitch goes with it. Right now he knows he hit it well. He's just wondering if he hit it well enough to carry all the way out of here. After that, it's tough to tell. Then you see Bourne going back to the plate, looking up. Just barely over the fence, between the stands and the fence. And Elvis really drilled that ball to left field, right? Smashed.
Carlos Carrasco couldn't believe it. He was hoping against hope that ball was going to stay in. By all rights, Moreland should have had a couple of them. Got another 3 millimeters on that first one. It would have missed the corner and gone over the wall in right field. Well, Mickey Callaway have to slow things down a bit for Carlos Carrasco. The Rangers have had 3 hits in the inning. Orioles, of course, left the ballpark a 2-run home run. Elvis at first, 1 out. Leonis Martin at the plate. Have a look at the Indians bullpen heating up out there in left center field. Austin Adams and Nick Hagedorn. Hagedorn is the left-hander. Leonis Martin, a fly ball to left in the 2nd. In the 4th inning, Leonis walked. Still looking for his first base hit of this homestand. The 2nd, They get the sliding Elvis Andrus, the lead runner. And that's all they will get. Well, Leonis changes places with Elvis. Martin at first with 2 outs now. And Adam Rosales will come up. The Rangers here this afternoon have made the most out of 6 base hits. They've put 4 on the board. See if Leonis tries to get himself into scoring position. Adam Rosales 0 for 2, a strikeout and a fielder's choice grounder. And he almost got plunked by that pitch. Leonis Martin over at first base with 6 stolen bases in 8 attempts. Get a shot there but across the diamond of him establishing his lead. Hector Ortiz, first base coach, stopwatch in hand over there, helping Leonis read the signs from Tony Beasley. And pitch inside again. 2 balls, no strikes. And Carrasco wants a new baseball. Adam hitting at 159 as he awaits. Takes one on the outside corner at 2-1 now. Breeze continuing to come in from right field, coming out of the south. Not nearly as strong as it was last night. Maybe 8 to 10 miles an hour this afternoon. To keep the air stirred around at Globe Life Park. 80-degree afternoon. Leonis getting almost a walking lead. He's on the move. Pitch is swung on a miss to throw, and they got it. Leonis Martin caught for the 3rd time this year in 9 attempts. And the Rangers gone on the 6th, but they put 2 more on the board. Mitch Moreland with his 2nd home run of the year, a 2-run blast. Will go to the 7th. It's now 4-1 Rangers. Short of it. First of all, the line drive off the very top of the wall. And Mitch Moreland scores Adrian Beltre. Made it 1-0 in the short of it. But Prince Fielder looping one into center for the RBI single. And the Rangers like that so much, they went back to the long. Mitch Moreland, a blast over the 404 sign. A 2-run home run. Mitch Moreland having a big day with a double and a home run. The Rangers leading at 4-1 as they turn the ball over to Tanner Shepard, also just back up from Round Rock. Tanner, earlier this year, 5 games with the Rangers, an 11.25 ERA. Opponents hitting .333. And Tanner sent down to AAA to get his command back, get himself together. And he is back here now, going to work against David Murphy.
Well, one thing Tanner did in his last AAA start, he had a very good outing through almost all strikes. Command had been a little bit of an issue with him in the big leagues, but nice to see him get straightened out and earn his way back to the big leagues. We need that arm in the bullpen.
And Murphy starts the 7th inning by flying to center field for out number 1. Hey, Texas A&M fans, Fox Sports Southwest wants you to show your Aggie pride at a Texas Rangers game. Get discounted tickets for the May 28th game against the Red Sox, and the first 1,000 fans with an A&M ticket at the park will get a free Rangers cap in Aggie maroon and white colors. Go to TexasRangers.com/TAMU for details. Michael Brantley taking outside for ball 1. Brantley is 1 for 2 and an RBI double in the 5th inning. Also struck out. It's out of play down the left side. A ball and a strike. And Brantley in a .351 average as he faces Tanner Shepard. Bases empty, 1 away in the 7th inning. Got him on the fist, and Adam Rosales takes care of the ground ball. 2 gone. Ranger captain going out all throughout Globe Life Park. And when he gets tired, he sits down.
He's just getting in shape for when the weather turns to about 105 out here. It's a little warm inside that horse head.
Here's Lonnie Chisenhall. Tanner Shepard's pumping in strike 1. Chisenhall today 0 for 3. A strikeout, a pop out, and a foul pop. Tanner showing a pretty good sharp breaking ball in this outing too.
Yep, 7 pitches, 6 strikes. Fastball's topped out at around 95, so love the way Tanner's throwing the ball this afternoon. Good to see him back here.
The 0-2. Got him on the fist. A little weak roller to Mitch. Underhands the Shepard, and it's a very quick, tidy 1-2-3 inning. So it is stretch time in Arlington. 4-1 Rangers. Now let's join Chuck Morgan as he introduces God Bless America.
Will you please rise as we remember the servicemen and women who are serving our country at home and around the world. Performing God Bless America today is singer-songwriter Robert Ellis.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the ocean white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
to take advantage of the savings for groups of 20 or more. You get your friends or your co-workers together and head to texasrangers.com/groups to put a deposit on your outing. We look forward to seeing you and your group at Globe Life Park. Adam Rosales, who was left standing at home plate when Leonis Martin was shot down trying to steal. That ended the 6th inning. Starting off the 7th, Rangers leading 4-1. They have out-hit the Indians this afternoon 6-5. 0-2 to Rosales. Carlos Carrasco giving up the 2-run home run to Mitch Moreland. He gives up a line drive off the bat of Adam Rosales, but that is almost directly at Michael Bourne in center. 1 out. And let's send it over right now to Rick Renner for a Mazda game break. All right, Rick, thank you.
Boy, the Astros they aren't going away. They had that big winning streak, then they lost a few, and now they've won 5 straight.
Now back by Chirinos.
Getting some pretty solid starting pitching for sure. Luke Gregerson's been a good closer for them. That's what they needed.
Yeah, that revamped bullpen that they put out there now has done a very good job for him. Chirinos sends one deep down the right field line. That is slicing into the corner and going foul. Now Robinson bidding for an opposite field home run. Didn't quite have home run distance, but he did provide that lady with a nice souvenir.
She must have been over there. She didn't run over there to get that ball, did she? She must have been over there taking a picture.
Check swing. He did not go around. 1 ball, 2 strikes. I say if she did run over there, that's a great jump. She's played some outfield.
She outplayed the men for that one.
Robinson this afternoon has struck out and popped to short. 0 for 2 and batting at 187 now. Breaking ball got him looking.
I knew it was a strike. I just couldn't swing at it.
Strikeout number 8 for Carrasco. 2 away. Shin-Soo Choo will come up for his 4th time. Last foul ball that lady landed. It ran right between her back and the seat. There you go.
She was over there taking some pictures.
Came back with a little more than she bargained for.
Picked a good time to do it.
Yeah. First pitch to Choo is strike 1. Shin-Soo this afternoon has struck out twice, but he's also walked and scored. That came back in the 3rd inning. Nothing in 2. Got him swinging. Like Carrasco with 9 strikeouts now through 7 innings. Sends the Rangers down in order. We're moving on to the 8th. It remains the Rangers 4, the Indians 1 on Fox Sports Southwest.
I tell you what, the loudest fan has to be Randy from Dallas. Randy, give us a sample of your work today.
Let's go Rangers!
Pretty good. Here are the Rangers all day long. Here you go, Randy. Here's the bag. You got anything else for us?
I got a great victory dance. Watch this. Let's go Rangers!
Oh, I like that. All right, good to have you out here, Randy. Appreciate it. Nice work, Buzz.
Knox, you didn't have to ask him if he was having a good time.
No.
Yeah, go Rangers!
Now, Tanner Shepard's back out to work his second inning of the afternoon. And he misses inside, working to Brandon Moss. Moss ahead of the count, 2 balls and no strikes. Moss 0 for 3 today, a couple of strikeouts, and a fly ball to left field. He pounds that one out towards second base. And Rosales, who was way out in right field, had to come in to make the play. 1 gone.
Yeah, Moss might have helped him out a little bit there. He's ahead in the count 2-0. Tanner threw him a good sinker down at the bottom of the strike zone. Might have sunk a little bit out of the strike zone. Watch how quickly Adam has to get rid of that ball. Make sure he gets it there in time.
Well, now Nick Swisher will come up. Shepard has retired the first 4 that he has faced.
And done it on only 11 pitches.
And a breaking ball through the back door for strike 1. Shepard's 7 2/3 scoreless innings in his last 7 relief appearances down in Round Rock. Opposition hit just a $130 in those 7 outings. He had 4 walks, 5 strikeouts. We're getting that all back together, and he has brought it back to Arlington with him. 0-2 pitch coming to Swisher. Swisher last time up was intentionally walked. It was in the inning that the Indians scored their only run. Also the inning that Nick Martinez got Michael Bourne looking at a 3rd strike with the bases full. 2-2 now. Southern California native Tanner Shepard working with the bases empty and 1 away here in the 8th inning. Mitch Moreland will take the ball to the bag himself. That is out number 2. And let's take a look at our DraftKings players to watch today. How about Prince Fielder, 2 for 3. Another multi-hit game. Shin-Soo Choo, an 0 for 3. But he has scored a run. Melky Cabrera with the White Sox 0 for 2. And Nelson Cruz with the Mariners 0 for 2. Go to DraftKings.com. Enter the promo code D-Town. Michael Bourne takes a strike. Bourne a single in 3 trips. 235 average. A ball and a strike. Right center field, hit pretty well, but Choo is going to track it down. Into the alley he goes, and that will do it. So Tanner Shepard retires all 6 that he has faced so far. A couple of fly balls and 4 ground outs. Bottom of the 8th coming up. Rangers 4, Indians 1.
Bottom of the 8th here at Globe Life Park in Arlington. Delino DeShields hoping to add some insurance to that score. Off day tomorrow for this team. We head to Boston to begin a 9-game road trip that begins in Beantown. 3 will be played there. Elvis Andrus has had recent success against these Boston Red Sox. Will look to continue that beginning Tuesday here on Fox Sports Southwest. The opener gets going at 6 o'clock our time, and we'll have it for you on Fox Sports Southwest. And we thank the folks at AT&T Uverse for bringing us that very informative information, guys.
All right, and we thank you. Adam DeShields, we thank him for that leadoff single. Popped it right back through the box, and he is aboard with his good speed to start off the 8th inning for the Rangers. Prince Fielder will now follow. Prince has had a couple of singles this afternoon. Neither one of them hit particularly well, but they've been effective. Had an RBI base hit. He dumped one into center field in the 3rd inning. In the 6th, he led off with a looping single to left and came around to score on Mitch Moreland's 2-run home run. And DeShields drawing a lot of attention from Carlos Carrasco. Delino, of course, the team leader in stolen bases. He is 9 for 10. Carrasco making him close over there. Delano not backing off. He's still out there with that pretty good lead. First pitch to Fielder is ball 1. John Tolleson up and throwing in the Ranger bullpen. Neftali Feliz had been up a little bit earlier. Could be that he is ready if needed, or could be he may not be available today. He got to get up to see how he felt. We'll find out.
Yeah. I was trying to think the same thing, or maybe he's warmed up, doesn't need to warm up anymore, and Sean's warming up in case the Rangers have a big inning and Jeff Bannister decides not to use Neffy. Keep you posted on that.
A ball and a strike to Fielder. Prince with the average at 347 as he stands at home plate. DeShields a pretty good lead again. And Fielder rip and a miss. It's 1-2. Prince 23 RBI this year. That was the most on the Ranger club. There goes DeShields. The pitch is low. The throw is wide, and Delino in with his 10th stolen base. No chance for Roberto Perez to get DeShields. The Rangers 3rd in the American League in stolen bases this year. DeShields leading them with a handful and doubled. It's fouled away by Fielder. Rangers now 29 stolen bases as a team. Still 2-2 to Prince. Well, he jammed him. A roller down to Moss. To Carrasco. That is an out, but it's a productive out as Delino DeShields moves on over to third. He's there with one away for Adrian Beltre. Let's go back to our AT&T U-verse Rewind momentous occasion on this homestand. Friday night, Adrian Beltre with home run number 400 in the first inning of the first game against the Indians. Adrian Beltre with a curtain call. Big sign, big banner hanging out in center field. Congratulations, Adrian Beltre, 400 home runs, 52nd place all time in baseball. And he hits one high and deep to left field. Murphy is going back at the track, at the wall, against the wall. He makes the catch. Tagging at third, scoring is DeShields, and Beltre gave it a ride about 388 feet from home plate. And Murphy did a great job of hauling it in for a long sacrifice fly.
That's bad feeling to see the left fielder go up against the wall and make that play. If he made that play. So the skipper's going to come out and talk about it. A little less of a sting, though, when you don't get the at-bat, but you get an RBI with a sacrifice fly. He saw the white in the glove. Might have thought it went off the wall. Let's see. Oh, he's stuck in the glove.
We'll get a little different angle of it here. Yeah. Looked like the ball stuck in the glove and pushed the glove into that crevice in the padding. That the challenge has been issued by Jeff Bannister and crew chief Joe West. We'll go over and that's right in the glove.
Yeah, that's in the glove.
The webbing in the glove.
The webbing of his glove might have hit the wall to move his glove a little bit. But it looks like, first of all, it goes right in the glove.
Yep.
Yeah. The glove hit the wall. Nice play by David.
Joe West and Rob Drake with the headsets looking at the replay up on the big screen here. Chuck Morgan putting those up as quickly as he can get them so the fans can see what the umpires back in New York at the replay command center are looking at. And Joe West and Rob Drake also get an opportunity to look at it, and so will the fans do. Well, the call on the field was out, and it would have to be clear and convincing evidence to overturn that. Making sure in New York that they get a good read on all the angles. Have one that we saw from our center field camera that kind of shoots along parallel to the wall, that you saw the ball going into the glove. This is from the shot on the right side of the stadium. Zoomed into it. And now we'll get the decision. It is an out. The challenge lost by the Rangers. It goes down as a sacrifice fly, but it does increase the lead for the Rangers. It is now a 5-1, and the call stands, meaning there was not incontrovertible evidence or clear and convincing evidence to uphold it or turn it over.
Sure looked like convincing evidence that he caught it to me.
Yeah.
His glove probably hit the wall. The ball might have even touched the wall, but it was in his glove. The ball hit his glove, which touched the wall, I should say. I guess you could have an H-web in your glove, and technically the ball could hit the wall while it was inside your glove.
Oh, 2 outs. Beltre with his 15th run driven in this year. Base is empty for Mitch Moreland. Now they're going to appeal to third. See if Delino DeShields left too early, and the call was no.
If you get called leaving too early on that ball, you've really messed up.
Yeah.
You can wait 5 seconds and score on that one.
Mitch waiting 2 for 3 today. He has doubled and homered. Driven in a couple. He's got a dozen RBI, 2 home runs now, and his batting average up to .292 as he faces Carrasco. A ball and a strike. Moreland was 1 for 2 coming in to the contest today against Carrasco in the past matchups. 2-1. Carrasco with that high set. And Moreland tops one down to first, and Moss will do the honors himself. So that'll do it. But the Rangers come up with a run on 1 hit. The sacrifice fly by Beltre gives the Rangers an extra run to work with. On to the 9th we go. 5-1 Rangers.
Close it out here in the top of the 9th. Rick Renner up at the Captain Morgan Club. Got a lot of great things to talk about in this one. The great Pudge Rodriguez will join Mark McLemore and myself as we break this one all down. Plus Jim Knox with an on-field interview. We'll hear from Jeff Bannister after this one and get you ready for the 9-game, 9-day roadie coming up starting on Tuesday. Right now, back to Buzz and Tom.
All right, Rick, thank you. Now we head to the top of the 9th inning. And Sean Thomason has come into the ball game to take over on the hill, and he will be facing Zach Walters as a pinch hitter for Roberto Perez. Sean Thomason, who we saw in last night's ball game, appearing in his 17th outing of the year. Now, Walters off the bench, hitting at .083. Switch hitter up there from the left side takes ball 1. Nick Martinez. 5 innings of work today, and it was a struggle, but an effective struggle for Nick Martinez. Probably the worst fastball command that we have seen him have, but yeah, he found a way to work around it.
He did. Pretty good for a young pitcher to figure out a way to navigate through those 5 innings, through 100 pitches plus in 5 innings. Really utilized his changeup well today. Found a pitch that worked and emphasized it pretty well.
103 pitches total and 57 strikes. That tells you how difficult it was for Nick today. Donaldson falling behind the pinch hitter Walters. 3 balls and no strikes. And the pitch in at the knees. It's 3-1. The Rangers a 4-run advantage. Trying to cap this one off and salvage the final game of this 3-game series. Enjoy an off day tomorrow and then on to Boston and New York and Cleveland on the road. 3-2. Tollison yesterday gave up a couple of hits, but no damage done in his one inning of work. And a walk, a couple of strikeouts. Payoff pitch on the way. Got him swinging. Pinch hitter Walters got ahead in the count, 3-0, and Sean Tollison came all the way back for the strikeout. There's one away.
The last couple fastballs by him. That one right on the inside corner. Looks like that's exactly where the one before it was, too. Down, in, but catching the plate.
Now Jose Ramirez will step in. Bluffs a bunt. That has Adrian Beltre coming down the line from third. All 3 times that Ramirez has been up there, he has flied out to Shin-Soo Choo in right field. Good changeup. 0-2. Terry Francona's club winning 2 in a row for just the second time this year. They're just trying to make sure it's not 3 in a row. Sean Tollison from Allen, Texas. Baylor X. Foul tipped, and Robinson Chirinos knocked backwards by that foul tip. Part of being a catcher. All kinds of bumps and bruises. Then you got to get right back in there and put down another sign. Fly ball to left. Delino Shields coming on. Ball hangs up for him. Delino there to make the grab, and now Sean Tollison just 1 out away from closing this one out. But he will have to face the top of the order and Jason Kipnis. Kipnis an 0 for today. He is 0 for 2 with a hit by pitch and also a walk. First pitch to him. It's out of play to the left. Kipnis with an 8-game hitting streak on the line as he faces Sean Tollison. The 0-1 pitch. Kipnis also has a 10-game hitting streak in this ballpark that is on the line. Up the middle of base hit, and this is just too much to ask to keep him Kipnis here.
Keeps getting his hits.
Yeah.
Actually, today he's been up 5 times. Been on base 3 times.
So all of those hitting streaks that I was just mentioning, they have been extended. Going to pitch out away from him, and we've seen him drive the ball up the middle in this series. So the Indians still have life. David Murphy now up there. 2 outs. Kipnis at first, will not be held on. And Murphy swinging through the off-speed pitch with no success. Kipnis down to second, what will be no doubt defensive indifference. And Robinson Chirinos out to make sure Sean Tollison knows what signs they're using with the runner at second. Go through a series of signs. David Murphy, a couple of hits. He is 2 for 3 today. Also with a walk. 0-2. Donaldson trying to close it out. Nick Martinez stands to be the winning pitcher here this afternoon. It would snap a streak of 5 consecutive no decisions for Nick. The crowd on their feet supporting Sean Tolleson and the Rangers. The 0-2 coming. Got him swing. Sean Tolleson with a strikeout. He gets 2 punch-outs in the 9th inning. The Indians with a base hit, but they strand a runner. They left 10 on base here today, and Nick Martinez picks up his 3rd win of the year in what may have been his least well-pitched game of 2015. From the standpoint of the command and stuff that he had, may have been his best pitch game as far as how he was able to use what he took out there.
Yeah, and I guess you're right, Buzz. You have to give a youngster, 24 years old, credit for figuring out a way to go out there and win a ball game, a game the Rangers needed to win. They'd lost the first 2 games of the series. Might not have had his best command with his fastball, but used his other pitches, used his fastball well enough to figure out a way how to hold the Indians to only 1 run through 5 innings, and I guess you can learn something from that, too.
David Murphy, the strikeout by Sean Tolleson, who a changeup and on the outside corner, and the Rangers snapped their mini 3-game losing streak with a 5-1 win here this afternoon. Again, Nick Martinez getting that win. He moves to 3-0 now. And Carlos Carrasco with a complete game loss. He drops to 4-4. And let's head down to the field. Emily Jones is standing by him.
Thank you very much, Mitch. You got 1. You almost had 2. I'm assuming you'll take 1.
Yeah, absolutely. It ended up we went out there, tried to get on that guy and put some runs up. We were able to scratch a few early, and Nick kept us in the ball game. It was a good win for us.
Yeah, Nick didn't have his best stuff, but showed a lot of grit in getting to where he did.
Yeah, absolutely. He came out and he had some tough situations there and had to pitch out of them, and really showed how good he is, I think, in those tough situations. That was a big game for him, big game for us.
Welcome back, Tanner Sheppers.
Yeah, absolutely. That was huge. Come in right there, get both 2 big innings for us right there, and really keep the ball game at bay and keep the momentum on our side.
And then finally, Mitch, just the importance of ending this homestand on a positive note before we head out for 9 straight.
Yeah, it's huge. It was first couple games were pretty tough, and to come out and win this one today, it kind of set the tone and maybe to carry over into the road trip.
Mitch, thanks for the time. We appreciate it. Congratulations, guys. We'll send it back up to you.
All right, Emily, thank you very much. The Rangers win it 5-1. Texas Rangers baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. By AT&T UVerse TV. UVerse has more live TV channels on the go than cable. And by your Texas Ford dealers. The Ford EcoBoost Challenge is on at your Texas Ford dealer. Get your best in Texas Ford dealer today. Rick Renner and Mark McLemore will be back to wrap things up right after this 5-1 win for the Rangers.